because it's just their activity. So it's their activity at a point where it's reaped what it calls loosh, what we call loosh, pain energy, and fed off it, fed off the mother's suffering, fed off the father's suffering, and fed off the world's suffering. We all read that and we're absolutely horrified to be living in a world where that goes on. It's rather like being stuck in a public toilet in a railway station that stinks. I mean, for anybody with half a heart, it's horrific to live in a place where that has gone on, where that little girl in Sweden just raped, battered for no particular reason. She, the little sweetheart, was on her way to church, tripping down a little pathway, skipping. Suddenly, now she's in a wheelchair. I mean, her brain is gone. I mean, how's her parents live with that? But they've got to live with that. So they've been visited on by this, like anybody who has crimes against them in this way, they've been visited by this energy. And there's the rest of us. Oh, it's Disneyland here. Oh, it doesn't exist. Oh no, there's evil people. Oh, and they're in prison. It's okay. They've gone to prison. Get on with your life. Forget it. You know, and then they focus on, like in the Swedish case, oh, he's jailed now. Have you got justice? And all that crap. And it's just crap. And these poor, unfortunate people, like his parents in Sweden, in the Letby case, those poor parents whose babies were murdered, snuffed out for no apparent reason. They have to live with it. And really, it's not about the people that have done it. It's not about Ian Brady. It's not about Kenneth Bianchi. It's about something that's out there. It's about something that's free, that's roaming, that's in control even of this entire planet, that has the steering wheel in its grip. I mean, so how can these people that probably they've smelt it, they've inhaled it, it's infected their life, how can they live with that when they know deep down that the world is dark, dark, and that it is controlled by that particular force? Because deep down, once you've experienced that force, you know that it you know it's out there. You know it's in all the institutions, the banking systems, the churches, you know, the schools. It's everywhere. It's not in some sad bitch locked in a prison. I mean, that Letby one should be injected with lethal injection, smothered, injected with water and insulin, and left there as a warning to others out there. You know, this will happen to you if you entertain that kind of energy, because people know they're entertaining that kind of energy. It's to wake them up. Wake up. If you entertain that kind of energy, you'll be smothered. You'll be in a little cell injected with all manner of stuff until you die after a couple of months. This is what should happen to these people. But what happens? They become bloody celebrities. They get journalists who don't know any better writing books about them. You know, they have impact on the world out there. Their names are well known. They become like movie stars locked away. When I met Kenneth Bianchi, he came swaggering out. I thought it was Robert De Niro. He came swaggering out. Hey, Chris. I mean, it was like, whoa. And he really had a massively high opinion of him. He knew he was famous, and boy, did he own it. I mean, I would say he's having a awesome little life. I know he's in a cell, but you know, constantly people knocking on the door from all over the world, and very important people, film companies, to ask him, who are you? What makes you tick? Why are you? Imagining that happen. I mean, you know, people coming to you every day, ringing you on your mobile and asking you, wow, you know, what's it like to be you? What makes you tick? What are you thinking about today? What did you have for breakfast? You're so fascinating. I mean, they own that. They own it. So in a way, they're rewarded. No wonder people like Brady thinks, oh, I'm in credit now. I'm going to be a king in another world. I mean, he really believed that. Killing and raping little children on the moors, slitting their necks, letting the blood run into the earth, sacrificing really to an entity. And he believes, well, I'm sorry, Brady, but actually, when you go into the astral realms, you're going to be crushed and you're going to be contained because they have a better knowledge of what's going on. And also, it's not controlled by lower grade entities like we're powerful, but entities devoted to negativity. That I know you've studied, Brian, and you said something interesting about Bianchi when he was possessed by this being, call it possession or whatever, obsession, that there was only a short period of time before the universe can jump in and interfere with that. And indeed he did. They call it a rampage. I think he had 6 months, didn't he, where he went out, and he did the injecting business. So there's so many similarities. Brady, for instance, I won't go into the details, but he tortured. He did various things, and Bianchi did various things. And it's strange how the injecting goes back to the Nazis and goes back to Mengele, who injected into these poor children in the camps. We know that the Nazis were hosting these entities, whatever they were, and they started to gas whole swathes of humanity. Why? Because they're not human, so they don't care. And they were experimenting, and they started doing this needling, this injecting into the veins. It's something that this satanic dark energy, there must be some kind of symbolism that it means something against God's children, an attack on the blood, perhaps. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's not just my thoughts. I mean, the Theosophists have been talking about this for like quite a few years. Like there are a lot of people who believe that if you inject yourself and you put something within your blood, then essentially you change the consistency of the blood and you cease to be human. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
So,
and hang on,
yeah.
what are you reminding me of right now? What was the first thing that popped into my head? Yeah, the vaccines. We can't talk about it on here. We'll get the channel crash. But the COVID and the antidote, the what everyone had to take.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, this is this has been gone for a long time. I mean, this started really round about the end of the 1800s with the Theosophists and their followers and the Rosicrucians, and they all said the same thing, that essentially, I don't know if you know this, but when a person dies, they cannot use the blood, because there is no life in the blood, okay, so you can't do a blood transfer from a dead person because the life just isn't in there. And essentially, if you reverse that, if you kill the function of the blood, then really you kill the soul of the person. This is how they look at it. I don't know what you think to that, but that's definitely quite prevalent among sort of quite a lot of religious thinkers. You name them: Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses.
I remember doing a story actually when I worked for the Sun, that there were Jehovah's Witnesses who didn't want a blood transfusion, and they couldn't have it because
and they don't have injections either. It's the same with the what do you call those Dutch people who live in America?
I know.
Dutch people.
I know. Is it Quaker? No, it's something else, isn't it?
No, not Quakers. Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yes. No, I know what you mean. But actually, I agree with them because think about blood magic. I mean, your blood is very precious. I wouldn't want to have someone else's blood in my veins, actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of them, I mean, there's it's just a very, very strange one. It's sort of although I don't agree with their Christian ethos, I do agree with the fact that I don't believe that you should be injecting yourself. I don't believe that you should be, transfusing blood, etc., etc. It's really interesting if you transfer somebody's heart, you also transplant the memories, and you know, and that's really interesting. So if you have a heart transplant, then you gain the memories of the other person.
Of course,
You know,
yeah.
so there is some kind of spiritual connection there. It's you know, like I said, it's but the one thing I'll stress is the more negativity you concentrate on, the more negativity you will attract. However, I'm not saying to just sort of like put all positivity in your life. What I'm saying is to have a balanced life, and but to encourage more of the positivity. And I don't mean that in a woo-woo sense. I mean that in a real sense. I mean that the antidote to evil is love. Okay, yeah. I mean, you can look at this girl who's killing the babies. I've seen the picture of her, and they all have this very weird stare. Yeah, and you know, there seems to be no empathy or love within their eyes.
Yeah, I think definitely something went on to her when she was a baby to make her just vacant. She's vacant. So that's why these beings use vacant people as a conduit. You can tell. I mean, they all have that. I mean, she looks totally vacant. You can't even. She reminds me of Brady. It's like it's gone. It's not there anymore. So what's kind of acted, you know, it's not there anymore. It's vacant. It just leaves, you know. And they would have made her, the entity, controlling entity, would have made her think different things like, oh, look at me, I'm powerful as a doctor. And because she was in love with that doctor, that was the only point in the trial where she showed any emotion when he came in. So he would have, yeah, he would have played a part in that, not him personally, but her love for him. You know, the entity would have probably made her think, oh, look, you know, I'm just as powerful as a doctor. I'm worthy of him. You know, I'm worthy. Well, of course, a nurse and doctor, they're different pecking orders. You know, she wasn't attractive. She didn't have a personality of any kind. So she would have told herself, this makes me on par with him. Maybe he'll become my lover. And so the entity, no doubt, would have made her, you know, think these kind of thoughts. So she's just an empty bag. But these empty bags, I mean, these beings can come in and out of them. There was someone in a prison recently, a guy who ate another prisoner. Literally, he's covered in sigils. He got another prisoner in the cell and he ate him. I mean, this is a prisoner who, Kuno, I think he was called, who is hosting, and they know he is. I mean, he ate the guy's entrails. I think he cut his head clean off. He has to be, he has to be gassed. I mean, they can't just move him around from. He was then going to be sent from the prison after he ate the guy, to a mental hospital, a lock-up mental hospital. But the people there said, "Oh my God, we don't want him. He's literally a walking demon. He's a body for a demonic entity." I mean, it's not fair to put these people like Letby in these prisons where they're still alive, for God's sake. I mean, they have to be dispatched. They really should bring back the death penalty. Brady, for instance. Now, Brady, okay, the entity had left him. He was like a shell, but it can come in and out. He was having sex with Borstal boys. So there's what happened. He was in Wormwood Scrubs. 17-year-old boys from Felton Borstal were going on his wing. He was having sex with them. Brady's a homosexual. He was having sex with them, and they were coming back into the Borstal. And the governor of Felton Borstal wrote to the governor of Wormwood Scrubs, and he said, "Do you know this is going on? Brady's having sex with a 17-year-old boys, loads of them." And the governor went, "Oh, what are you writing to me about that old chestnut for? Oh, you're going to say, you know, we can't stop sexual activity in the prisons." And the guy from Felton Borstal, obviously more intelligent, said, "But It's Ian Brady. What effect will Ian Brady have on these young boys? And of course, he's more intelligent, and the governor from the Scrubs, oh, you know, like, woo woo, mate, go away. Oh, woo woo, what influence? But of course, he's having influence on them. He can literally pass the entity through into these boys. I mean, he will have horrific spiritual effect on these boys. What needs to happen with these individuals? They need to be given the death penalty straight away. Just sent off somewhere to a different dimension who can handle it. Because we, as atheists here, not me, but I'm saying the country, we don't know how to handle these individuals. We don't. And we handle them all the wrong way. We make them famous. We make loads of books about them. And I nearly became a crime writer. Thank God I didn't. You know, I've written In for the Kill, whatever that flop. Thank God. And I always thought, thank God, you know, I did become one of those people that cash in on this, you know, because that leads to bad space. You're cashing in on that negativity. These crime cons where people go along, they listen to people who actually don't know what they're on about. They just, you know, say, oh, they're really evil, and when you meet them, it's so creepy and so terrifying, and they just kind of banging the drum of, aren't they fascinating? Let's all go quiet and think about them. Well, they're not. They're just empty carrier bags, for God's sake. But as empty carrier bags, like the guy who ate the other guy, they need to be dispatched. And this is why we need to bring in this death penalty. And for that guy who attacked that, he didn't kill that 8-year-old, but he put her in a wheelchair and she's brain dead now. He should have the death penalty for that. And the world would be cleaner. At least it would wipe some of the, it would get rid of some of the portals in it. I mean, these people are still alive. Yes, they're behind concrete walls, but they actually they take a, you know, they influence the world in various ways. I mean, there wouldn't be a crime con without them, and that's a big festival that goes on in London, for God's sake.
Yes, it's. I think a lot. Killing is one answer, but I think the real answer is always education and sort of, you know, balanced education. The more intelligent people tend to be, the more harmonious they tend to be with their environment, generally speaking. Yeah, you know, so, you know, I mean, like, killing everybody may or may not work, but I think educating people and making them aware of their spirituality and responsibility towards other people is probably far more effective than killing people, because, as you quite rightly said, if you kill somebody, they become a martyr. If they don't become a martyr, they become some kind of figurehead. Yeah. So, you know, I really think that, you know, like, education and spirituality is far more important than violence and killing, to put it bluntly. You know, going back to what we said, the group that don't do any injections or anything is the Amish community, yeah, and the Westerner who spoke out was Steiner. He was a theosophist, but then he started his own anthroposophy. And Steiner, if you can find some of his books, Steiner wrote. He's a scientist. He wrote reams as to why the injection kills people. You know, as in kills their soul. So I strongly. Or you can actually listen to one or two of his lectures as well on YouTube. So I would strongly recommend that as well. But I am not a pacifist by any stretch of the imagination, if the cause is correct. But I think what we have to understand is that, you know, fear is the one controlling factor which they use to control society. Yeah. But the more educated you are, the more you realise that a lot of what is done to control you is just purely fear-based. And once that power is gone, people can no longer use fear. And that only comes through education.
Oh, of course, reality. Yeah, of course.
So, because you have to remember that if we go back to say the 1700s, where you could get killed for virtually anything, even killing a chicken, stealing a chicken, crime did not stop. Yeah, you know, so you know, like killing people for the sake of it is, it probably makes the victim feel very, very good because something has happened to that person. However, it doesn't alter the status quo because crime still goes on. Yeah, sick people
it
are
might
still born.
discourage.
You know?
It might discourage.
I don't think you discourage anything because, as you quite rightly said, you know, even if you get the death penalty, I mean, if you're in America, you can be 8 to 10 years before they kill you, and in that time, you're a virtual celebrity. You know, so if you've got nothing, being a celebrity for the last 10 years of your life is probably, you know, quite a buzz. I don't know. I mean, I'm not
No, I
that
hear
person.
you.
I'm not a killer, but you know, I don't believe in violence for the sake of it, but on saying that, you know, it's you know, one has to take a much more spiritual and educated approach, and you know, and then hopefully review it from there. Because overall, like I said to you, you know, Giles de Rais, he was allegedly he was a serial killer. You know, you can go back hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years and come across these strange people, and you know, it's something that is inside humanity. And usually, when you have a defect, it's because they have some kind of defective thought or spiritual belief system. And I believe that that's where you should start, in all honesty. Working on your intelligence, working on your belief system, and make the world better that way. Because atrocities happen because people don't say no.
Yeah.
In reality, yeah, they either don't say no to themselves, or they don't say no to the people who are asking you to do something abysmal.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
of course. Have we come to the? Thank you
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we will probably be doing a evening show tonight. So we'll catch you guys later. And thank you for listening, everybody. I'm going to sign out now. My new book is for sale. It's not on Amazon yet, but I think it's on Apple. The Private Investigator's Phantom Twin. That's my own journey. So pick that up if you like. And Brian, your book's out somewhere.
yeah, my book's on Kindle. Yeah, but it's only for the specialist who really wants to sort of understand themselves. Really, you know,
And what's the
I
title?
wouldn't. It's Gin Illuminated. I
Oh, that
certainly
sounds
wouldn't
great.
recommend it for everybody. Yeah.
Okay, that
Okay.
sounds awesome. I mean, I'm going to get hold of a copy. Thank you, Brian, for coming on. And we're both around on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Christine Hart, Private Investigator in brackets. So you can find me on Facebook. Please join me there. And Brian Barrett, Barrot, is also
Double T. Double
oh,
T.
double
Oh,
T.
double T.
I always leave that
Yeah.
T off.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no problem.
He's on Facebook too, and hope to join you there. Thank you for listening. Okay, and we're gone.
Okay. Bye.
Take good care.